Step 2 for making this new widget available to your students and useful to your students is setting the scheduling parameters for each of your courses. So we would do that by just up to the nav bar and the pacing and progress tool. And then we load all the course activities. And this is everything within your course from the content list. And so those of us who've been doing this a while, we know that including readings and stuff like that, or lessons that students just click on to achieve, that's something that they just play with as they learn. Much better just to kind of go with the activities themselves. So we're looking quiz 1, quiz 2, the project list, that's just where they get their project. Here's where they submit their learning guide, where they submit their project, and then their exams. So these are all things that involve submission and grades. So what we want to do here is, and I would carry on doing that through all the different units. So what we're setting is the number of days and the total weight. Now the number of days is an interesting one. The way they have it set up is what we want to do is we want to just kind of distribute this course among 180 days. And then it's scaled. So if a student is doing, let's say they pick their start date and their end date and it comes out to be 90 days, then all of this will be scaled half. If they do double, then it's double, and so on. So it's all scaled within there. So you kind of want to just think of what you would say is a normal schedule and lay it out that way, and then we can tweak our numbers to bring it up to or down to 180, and it will scale from there. So I typically tell students that 2 weeks per unit is about right for most of these academic courses. And so that's about a semester schedule, roughly. And so we could say they get to quiz 1, which is halfway through unit 1, and say, oh, that's about 1 week. And then they get through the rest of the unit in another week. And then the minimum that you can put in with anything that you say is required is 1. So once they're through, quite honestly, they're pretty much done their learning guide at this point, but we'll put 1 in there and give them a chance to submit it and so on. And then they're submitting their projects. We'll give them a day for that, and then a day to line up and write their test. So if you go through and you kind of do all of your units that way, and then I also give them about a week for the midterm exam and another week for the final exam and so on. I found that it comes out a little bit less than 180, so then I would go back and I would just tweak with the numbers, and I found that 8 or 9 in days per half a unit worked out well to kind of bring it up to about 180 for most of my courses. So, and again, it's scaled, so as long as it's kind of, spread out in what you'd expect would be a normal distribution of your items, all should be good. Now, the total weight, that's how it's going to calculate the percentage complete. And so what you could do is you could just count the number of activities, and this is how the old progress report did it, is just count the number of activities, and so 100 divided by that, and that's the percent that it increases after each activity. And really, you could talk about which things take more time, and you could try and distribute it that way. But effectively, we just kind of want to know roughly how far this student is through the course, and the students and parents want to know roughly how far through the course. And so just distributing it that way is pretty typical. And so that comes out in this course probably somewhere in the 2.3 per item. And so I would just go down and type all that in. And then I just kind of keep an eye on this up here. And as I hit required and enter these numbers, we can watch it tally up here. When we're done, like I say, I've found that this comes out a little less than 180. So I go back and tweak a little bit. And the total weight is kind of interesting. I'm not sure exactly what they're using to calculate it, because I only using 1 decimal, and I had it come out to 99.999999, a bunch of nines. and it wouldn't accept that as a save or a publish. And so then I tweaked around a little bit, trying to get it, get it into place, and it came out to 100.00001, and again, it wouldn't let me save. So you may find that it takes some weird little tweaking to get it to land right on 100. As you're working along there and tweaking, you can save it here and there, and then that way, if you have to muck around and change things and so on, you at least saved it. And then once you've got it to 180 days and 100%, then you come down and save it, and it will allow you to publish it at the point when you have it exactly what it's looking for. And once you publish it, then the students are able to kind of set their start date and end dates, and everything will be distributed based on the way that you've laid this out. So that's step 2.